Okay, hello and welcome to the video about privilege and the common good. We're just going to start out by reflecting on the videos that you watched about privilege. I hope that you watched them, and if not, go back to the links in the Google Doc and watch those two videos about privilege. The first one is the garbage can game, and the second one goes a whole lot deeper. I've done the garbage can game more than once. The idea is the exact same in the video. I always give a prize for the person who gets it into the basket. Every time that I've done it, the people who are privileged to be sitting closest to the garbage can are excited and thrilled with their privilege. They don't even question why they got the privilege to be in that spot. They just accept it and they are happy with it, and they try their best and they focus on trying to get the prize. The people in the back that have disadvantage, they obviously complain. Who wouldn't? They complain that they're too far away, that the people close up have an advantage and they don't, and they're frustrated. It's a great way to start out the lesson, because when we think about privilege, the most important thing to think about is the definition, which is an advantage over someone else. But the key part of the definition is that it's typically unearned. Unearned. Like, you didn't work hard for it. You didn't, overcome obstacles to get there. It's just the way that it is. And when you watch the second video, it goes a whole lot deeper. And I hope that when you did watch that second video, you started to become more aware of advantages that you have over other people in our community, other people perhaps in your own family, other people in the province, other people in the country, other people in the world. And that's how we should always think about our circle of influence: our own family, our community, our province, our country, our world. And you know that your very being, because we are social beings, we live in society, you have an impact on your family, on the community, on the province, on the country, and on the world. And obviously your circle of influence means you have the most impact on the people closest to you, and the further out you go, the less of an impact you have, but you have an impact nonetheless. And so I need you thinking about that as we move forward. Hopefully you made a list of your privileges. Sometimes it's not easy because we go through our lives privileged, and oftentimes we don't think about them because we don't see them as privileges, because it's just the way it's always been. So until you meet somebody or you're aware of somebody that has a disadvantage, you might not even realize the privilege that you have. You probably did not focus on the privilege of school until the rug was pulled out from under our feet a couple weeks ago. And you probably did not realize the privilege of health until we are threatened with this pandemic that nobody seems to have any control over. And the privilege of going to the gym, the privilege of playing sports, the privilege of hanging out with our friends. Until we are met with challenges that threaten our privileges, we don't even realize them. We take them for granted. And so this pandemic has really been a shakeup for a lot of people, myself included. We take inventory, we take stock on the things that truly matter. We realize the things that we've taken for granted, and we just need to focus on the positives, and we need to focus on trying our best to still make a positive impact on the world. So thinking about those things, we're going to be watching a movie. So on Netflix or DVD, however you need to, I need you watching the movie The Hunger Games, the first movie. When you're watching this movie, I've given you a guide to help you follow along. I want you focusing on 2 or 3 things. Number 1 is the Catholic social teachings of life and dignity of the human person, solidarity, and preferential option for the poor. So just to recall what solidarity is, that's seeing other people's needs as your own. That's working together like a team. So for example, if you've ever played a team sport, you know that you work your hardest so that the whole team wins, or the whole team succeeds. You would never try to sabotage your team by, not showing up or not playing hard. It's the whole team effort. And when the team wins, you win too. When you win, the team wins. So that's the idea with solidarity. The preferential option for the poor, remember that is where we put the needs of the poor before our own needs. We put the needs of the poor before our own needs. That does not mean that we care less about anybody else. All right, keep that in mind. Doesn't mean we care less. It means they are vulnerable in some way, and so they need extra help. All right, so I've given the example before of the burning building, right? If you were ever in a burning building, you would make sure that you could get out safely first. That's a given. But as you're leaving that building and getting yourself out, and let's imagine you're perfectly healthy, who are you going to help along the way? You're going to help the children, the young ones, the elderly, the physically disabled, the mentally disabled, anybody who's struggling to get out because they're vulnerable in some way. You're going to help them. So that's preferential option for the poor. We try to help the poor and vulnerable first because they need it the most. So as you watch this, I really want you also thinking about the uneven distribution of wealth and how does God want the world to be? How does God want the world to be? How does God intend the world to be? He intends it to be just and fair. It's not. And when you watch this movie, please try your best to realize, obviously it's sci-fi, it's fake, but there's so much truth to it. There is so much truth to it with especially the uneven distribution of wealth. So please watch for that. Follow along with your guide. And if at any point you've got questions, shoot me an email. Remember, I'll be live in Google Hangouts Monday through Friday, and you can ask me any questions. You've got the whole week to do this, so take your time. You don't have to watch it all at once, and you don't need to get the assignment done right away, but take your time, and I will be available for questions. I'm trying to think if I forgot anything. Think about resources too. That's one thing that I didn't say. Uneven distribution of wealth and resources. So wealth, oftentimes countries' wealth is dependent on the resources that they have. We live in a rich country because it's rich with resources. Countries that are poor in resources are oftentimes poor countries. So keep that in mind. And as you're working through your document, don't forget about those Catholic social teachings that you learned last week. All right? Let me know if you have any questions. Take care. God bless. See you next time.